Welcome back to Jersey Matters. In New Jersey, universal paid sick leave is now the law, making employers and employees a little confused. Here to try to clear up some of the confusion is Judy Saylor, HR specialist at Primepoint. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So what does this mean for a business? Let's start with that.
Well, we're seeing that 1 million people are now going to be afforded the opportunity for New Jersey sick leave. And that is a very large number that employers are not necessarily prepared for. You're talking about 40 hours of paid time off in order to care for yourself when you're sick or to care for a family member when they're ill, in case of having to deal with domestic violence, or a public health official closes your facility or your child's facility for a period of time. And then, of course, if the school calls and says that you need to come and speak to your child's teacher or the principal about an issue that would support your child at school.
Right, and that's one of the ones that I wanted to ask you about, because they're like down the Jersey Shore, on the boardwalks. Many times, the businesses have one person there. If that person has to leave for one of the emergencies that you mentioned, the business closes down.
That is the potential for that, yes. And with the New Jersey sick leave, if you have to leave at that moment, it is not up to the employee to find a substitute for that position. It's up to the owner.
Even if there's one person there, they can't say to that person, you have to wait there, I need to replace you. Under the law, they can just leave?
As of now, yes.
You say as of now. Is this still being worked out?
It is. There's going to be a public hearing on November 13th in Trenton, and they're going to be reviewing and looking at the regulations. There are lots of questions still open that we will be going through. So there could be some changes going forward after that hearing.
So this is expected to come up. The fact that it might be, for some very small businesses, onerous.
Absolutely.
This wasn't argued before the bill was passed?
It may have been. Initially, that bill was looking at 72 hours, and I think the small businesses were able to look at the fact that that would be much more detrimental, and they brought it down to 40. The stipulation with this is that an individual is earning that time, 1 hour for every 30 hours worked. Lots of small businesses hold their people at about 25 hours a week. So this individual is not going to earn 40 hours within, a 3-month window. It's going to take some time for them to earn and accumulate time off.
What else do businesses need to know? How do they make sure they're complying with the state?
Well, the first step that the guidance is on is that you need to prep your decision makers, managers, leadership, supervisors. You cannot deny someone the right to use a New Jersey sick leave day, nor can you discipline them if they use that day. There are retaliatory.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There are retaliatory steps that would occur, and they go so far as to $100 to $1,000 fine, or 10 to 100 days in jail for someone or a business who willfully chooses to not comply with the law.
Oh, so this is a law with some teeth. That's the business side of it. Let's talk about the employee side. What do they need to know now? Basically the same thing?
They would need to know the same thing. They would need to know what they are allowed to utilize this for. This is not a vacation day at the beach. And as employees, we probably really need to look at the fact that we want to be respectful of this time and utilize it truly for when you're sick. The reality is no one wants someone to come to work sick and share those things. This is looking at helping to be a healthier New Jersey. We know the flu is coming around. We see lots of different, infections spread through contact. If you're sick, stay home. That would be the much better option for all of us.
I remember when they were debating this, that was one of the driving forces, especially in the restaurant industry, that you have waiters and waitresses and cooks and hosts and hostesses that were coming to work sick and spreading a disease through a community just by contact.
Yes.
So that is one of the major benefits of this. But the people that were fighting it, I think mostly were the businesses, especially small businesses.
I think that small business is trying to get its hands around the implementation of this. And so the second piece that we're giving guidance to folks on is you've got to prepare your payroll and timing system. You want to make sure that you're within compliance of the law. You're accruing this at the right rate. You have the proper controls for the 40 hours. People put in those requests. For some businesses, employees make multi-rates. Do they have that second 7-day look back that you need to determine what rate of pay are you going to pay that person when they take a day off? For the restaurant workers, they're eligible to receive minimum wage for the day they take off. They're not going to earn that $2 and some cents an hour rate for taking off. And so that is the caveat with those folks who are, you know, handling our food or doing those types of jobs where you come in contact with them. If they're sick, stay home and they'll be provided for.
So on November 13th, there'll be hearings on this.
Yes.
To do what? Once a law is implemented, isn't it difficult to change? It's better to change it before it's implemented than afterwards.
Agreed. And the reason for the hearing is because the DOL has put out regulations that started to button up some of the questions people had. For example, a benefit year in the initial law stipulated 12 consecutive months. That left a lot of room for people to, you know, give their own thought process to. Lots of folks use anniversary date for time off tracking. In the regulations, it now stipulates that we're looking at a single benefit year for all employees, meaning the same dates. Are you going to be a calendar year? Are you going to be a fiscal year? Are you going to run it along the benefit year that your organization chooses so that your tracking is a little easier to do?
Have they implemented this law in other states?
Yes, we're actually the 10th in the country that has implemented this.
And so you had some examples to look at in doing this. Have they run into problems anywhere else?
Everyone runs into problems in the very beginning, it would appear, from that implementation phase. Once it got into implementation phase and it started to work, it has worked fairly well. Part of the transition that occurs is that owners and HR staff need to start looking at this from a strategic level. You want to cultivate your staff. We want to get to that workforce that is not warm bodies, but are those that are going to support our businesses and our businesses' growth.
Where can people go to get information on this? I know that, look, nobody wants to break the rules on this, especially because there's such severe punishment. So where can they get information?
You can go to the state's website and the New Jersey Department of Labor. Clearly, there are lots of different articles. Your attorneys will have those articles. You can also visit, obviously, primepoint.com. We are posting updates and all of the regulations, along with guidance that is provided to us from different sources.
So HR companies will make out on this. I mean, because a lot of people are wondering what they're supposed to do. That's where you come in.
In theory, yes. It's not a question of making out on it, though. Primepoint's been in operation for 35 years in the state of New Jersey, and our intent is to help New Jersey. We are a family-owned and operated business, and our program itself is modular. We're not looking to make out. We're looking to help New Jersey grow.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so
I appreciate
much.
you being here. Judy Saylor is an HR specialist at Primepoint.
Thank you.
Jersey Matters continues right after this. Still to come, the Teacher of the Year from New Jersey is moving to Europe. We'll tell you why when Jersey Matters continues.